You know that feeling where you feel like you're doing everything you're supposed to with your money, but you're just not getting ahead? It's like you're running on a hamster wheel. Well, that feeling, it actually has a name. And today, we're gonna tear it apart. We're talking about the salary trap.
Yeah, that probably hits close to home for a lot of you, right? Your pay slip says you're earning all this money, but then you look at your bank account and it's telling a totally different story.
And look,
if the math just isn't adding up at the end of the month, I want you to hear this. It is not a personal failure. It is part of a much, much bigger system.
Right. That feeling you have, it's not some random accident. It is absolutely by design. It's the result of this really sophisticated system that is just incredibly good at one thing, keeping you exactly where you are. You know, running on that treadmill, always busy, and totally dependent. So let's put a name to this thing. What we're dealing with is the salary trap. And to really get how it works, we've got to look at its first and probably its most powerful weapon. Okay, to explain this, let's talk about someone we'll call Sarah. And Sarah, well, she could be any one of us. She represents millions of professionals out there. On the outside, she is the absolute picture of success. But on the inside, she feels that constant kind of low-level hum of financial anxiety. You know the one. So Sarah makes $85,000 a year. Now, that is a great salary. That number actually puts her in the top 20% of all earners. So by all the normal metrics, she should feel rich, right? She should feel wealthy. But she doesn't, not even close. Let's dig into why that is. Because here's the thing, that big, impressive annual salary, it's kinda an illusion. The only number that's actually real is the one that hits her bank account every 2 weeks. And after taxes, that 85 grand suddenly becomes just under 2,500 bucks. It's a lot more real and, frankly, a lot less impressive, isn't it? But believe me, the trap is just getting warmed up. And this is where the real trick of the trap comes into play. See, the system doesn't just hand Sarah her paycheck and say, hey, what do you want to build with this? Oh no, it starts pulling it away before she can even make a plan. Rent, gone. Car payment, gas, insurance, gone. Groceries, bills, all those little subscriptions, poof. And what's she left with? $48 for 2 whole weeks, just 48 bucks. This is a really powerful psychological trick because she's got the nice apartment, she's got the reliable car. Her brain registers all of that as success and comfort, but it's a total facade. This is what we call the illusion of prosperity. It gives you just enough of a good lifestyle to keep you from asking the really dangerous question. Why am I not actually building any real wealth? All right, so if that illusion of prosperity is what gets you into the trap, the next piece of the puzzle is what slams the door and locks it behind you. We're talking about lifestyle inflation, or as I prefer to call them, the golden handcuffs. I mean, this is the story for so many of us, isn't it? You work hard, you get a raise, and what's the very first thought? Awesome, now I can finally afford fill in the blank. A nicer car, a bigger apartment, a better neighborhood, you're moving up. But if you look really closely, every single one of those pay bumps, it doesn't create freedom. It just creates a new, more expensive set of bills that eats up the entire raise. The handcuffs don't come off, they just get heavier and shinier. And if you're thinking, oh, well, this is just a middle income problem, think again. Let's talk about David. David was making deep 6 figures in tech. Living the dream, right? Except he was miserable. And every time he even thought about quitting, he'd get this sick feeling in his stomach. Why? Because that huge salary was already spoken for. It belonged to the mortgage, to 2 car payments, to private school tuition. So when he got a $20,000 raise, it didn't bring any relief. It just got immediately absorbed by new expenses. It became the braces in a new SUV fund. Okay, this right here is probably the most important idea in this entire explainer. We are all conditioned from day one to chase a higher salary, but we are focusing on the completely wrong thing. Your freedom is not determined by how much you make. It is determined by one thing, the gap between your income and your expenses. And the entire system is built to make sure that gap stays as tiny as possible. So what happens when there's no gap? Well, you stop being a person who's building their own future and you become a product. You are now a predictable, controllable, guaranteed revenue stream for somebody else, for your landlord, for the bank, for the car company. They are the ones getting wealthy from your salary, not you. All right, let's make this really personal for a second. I want you to honestly ask yourself this question. If you quit your job tomorrow, if that paycheck just stopped coming, how many months could you actually survive? 1 month, 3, maybe less? You know, if your answer to that was a little uncomfortable, you are definitely not alone. You're in the majority. Over 60% of professionals could not keep their lifestyle going for more than a single month without a paycheck. Just let that sink in for a second. The people we look at as successful are literally living on a financial knife's edge.
We have all these nice words for it, don't we? We call it job security, we call it stability, but what is it really? It's a prison. Yeah, it's a really comfortable prison, for sure. It's got nice amenities, maybe a decent view, but it is still a prison. Because the one thing you are not is free. You are not free to leave. Okay, so that was a little bleak, I know. That's the bad news. But here's the good news. This is not an inescapable prison. The most important step is just seeing the bars for what they are. Because once you see them, you can start to figure out how to take them apart. So let's talk about the plan. Let's talk about how to break free. The very first step, and it's the biggest one, is a mental shift. You have to fundamentally change how you think. You have to stop confusing income with wealth. They are not the same thing. Income is what you earn. It's temporary and it keeps you busy. Wealth is what you keep. It's permanent. And it is what makes you free. The goal isn't just a bigger paycheck. The goal is more wealth. So here it is. Here's the escape plan. 4 steps. First, redefine wealth. We just covered that. It's not about what you make, it's about what you keep. Got it? Second, you attack the gap. This becomes your new obsession. How can I make the space between my income and my expenses as wide as humanly possible? That gap, that's your power. Third, you redirect the gap. All that money you're saving, instead of buying more obligations, things that cost you money, you start buying assets, things that make you money. And fourth, and this is your first real mission, build optionality. Save up 3 to 6 months of your living expenses. That emergency fund, that is the key that unlocks the prison door. So let's be absolutely crystal clear about what the mission is now. Your entire life, you've probably been told that the goal is to climb the corporate ladder, to earn more and more. That is the traps programming. That is the lie. The real goal, the true goal, is to become independent from the need for that paycheck, to get to a place where working is a choice you make, not something you're forced to do to survive. Because let me tell you, the moment you don't need the money, your relationship with your job, with your time, with your whole life, it changes completely. That is real freedom. And that brings us to the final and maybe the most crucial point of all this. The reason the salary trap is so damn effective is because it offers you a trade. It asks you to trade your freedom for comfort. And you know what? That is a very tempting offer. And most people, they take that deal without even thinking about it. But not you. Not anymore. Now you see the system. You understand the trade-off that's being offered. So the choice isn't unconscious anymore. It's deliberate. It's right in front of you. And so the only question left is, are you choosing comfort or are you choosing freedom?